was the case, but someone who definitely knows nothing about the pre-computer era is with us now. Fabiano Caruana, after a smashing victory, a must-win game if he's going to keep his campaign alive. Fabi, this game was, you came out with a new idea. It looked like right away you wanted at least some imbalanced position to play against your opponent, as you really had to win this game if you're going to still be in the hunt.
Yeah, first of all, I take some slight issue with what you said about having no idea about the pre-computer days, because I grew up without computers.
Really? Wait, how, aren't you like 22?
Something like that. A bit older.
No, okay, you're 29 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So you were like 9 and 10. What were you doing back then, preparing for opponents?
I mean, there were computers, but I grew up playing American Opens 2 games a day. Games weren't really prepared for, and certainly we didn't have powerful hardware, or software was also not well developed then to the way that we have now.
What age are you talking about right there? So you're talking, I mean, 11, 12 years old?
Until I was like, I don't know, mid-teens, yeah. I mean, there were computers, but it wasn't anywhere close to now where, you know, they just told you, pretty much just told you the answer in a position. Back then it was like, you know, you work with an early version of Fritz and it says E4, C5, white is winning. Things have changed a bit.
Well, we were talking about matchups in particular. Like, how do you prepare against specific opponents? When you had to prepare against specific opponents, at that point, weren't there databases? I believe ChessBase was already out by that time. Yeah. Not the evaluations of the position, but you could say, I know this guy's openings. Christian Carilla, I know what he plays.
Yeah, there were. Yeah, we used ChessBase, but until I started playing in European tournaments, opens and closed tournaments, preparation wasn't a big factor. And then, yeah, preparation became a thing where you go through a database and you figure out what your opponent does. Usually people had more limited repertoires back then. Now it's much harder to prepare because everyone plays everything. Everyone's booked up, everyone's well prepared. So it's a lot harder these days to keep on top of openings and preparation at a high level.
This preparation that you played in this game, what made you go for this direction?
Yeah, I didn't expect this line at all because he usually played d5 instead of bishop b4. He didn't have so many games, but that seemed to be his main opening. And bishop b4 came as a surprise. But I do have a bit of experience in these lines. The thing is, I think he was unfamiliar with the nuances because if knight d5 immediately, then bishop c5 is a much better version instead of bishop g2.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, you mean you should have played knight d5?
No, this is a better version for black after bishop c5.
I see, sorry.
If b4 now, there's knight b4, and e4, and it's kind of crucial that, let's say white's knight retreats, and black takes on f3, and white can't take back with the piece, so the structure gets damaged. And that's the reason why the move order I played is better.
So what should he have done? Bishop g2, he should have not castled? Or is this
no, castle is fine, and knight d5, and the main move is e4. I mean, bishop c5 is not a bad move, but this is sort of the, b4 is supposed to be the downside.
The critical move, yeah.
I imagine you had something prepared against this.
Well, I've played against e4 many times, so yeah, I had a pretty good idea of the line, but it is a very good line for black.
All right, so where was his fatal error as he put a bishop on a5? Were you surprised by this? Because we were.
Yeah, I thought he would play bishop f8. I would castle, and he can play d5 now, or even d6 is a better version, because the bishop, it looks like the bishop is good on b6, but it just gets blocked by e3. So it's much better on f8. And also if he plays d5, it's much better on f8.
Okay, so at least we understand a little something about chess.
Okay.
Because we didn't like that bishop a5 move. And so then he started, looked like he was getting into a lot of trouble, yeah. Maybe primarily because of the disjointed pieces.
Well, I think his main mistake was playing d6. If he plays d5, I don't know if white is any better. I would take on d5, he takes probably with the knight. And I was going to play knight c5, and it's a bit of a tense position. If I get d4 in the center, then I'm better, but he has b6, bishop a6, it was kind of sharp. So yeah, I was more worried about this. d6 came as a very pleasant surprise, and then I thought it's a nice position. Yeah, at some point after e4, I assumed I'm borderline winning. d5, I wasn't sure if this was a sack or a blunder. But maybe he has nothing better, because at b5 I take an h4, and he's actually either losing the bishop or like b5, ab, ab, h4. And the problem is if bc, I take an h5, so his bishop gets trapped, so he has to play a very ugly move h5. And that's not very good for him.
Definitely bad. So
Maybe it was a good pawn sacrifice, because I really struggled after d5 to find the right way, and I don't think I did it.
It looked like you were close to winning, you know?
No, it must be winning, but it didn't feel easy. Like at first I thought I'll take on c7 and get the center, but then my center remains weak. I didn't see a way to consolidate this. Yeah, he'll play like rook, let's say bd8. Probably bd8, so I don't get d4 very easily. Because now I don't think I can play d4. So I have to make it a tough, well, now queen c4, I guess. Yeah, this is not good. So I have to do something which wasn't easy for me to see. So I preferred to keep the knight, which is double-edged. I mean, it's a very good knight, but also his dark squared bishop is the only good thing about his position. So I don't know. It felt a bit messy once his b pawn started to get rolling.
So what then? I mean, it seemed though like you started to control the game, but somehow it went from control to just dead loss for him.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he was doing the right thing. I was at least happy that his bishop on f7 is borderline dead, and his b pawn is controlled. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking he should try to find a way to trade queens, but I don't know exactly how.
Yeah, right here suddenly there's like
the
advantage
bishop c5
just jump. Maybe bishop c5.
Yeah, something went wrong with bishop c5.
The engine doesn't like your guy's moves, but that it's usually overestimating. And then you put a knight on g7,
Yeah.
which everybody was smiling at. Your knight is, you know, you underpromoted to a bishop one game. Now you put a knight on g7. This game, it looks like was this for effect, or you felt like that was absolutely the best move?
No, I thought it was a great knight. The thing is, the knight on g7 with the pawn h6 is kind of a common pattern. Not common, but it's not a completely unknown pattern. And it's just the knight is cemented there, and it can always escape via e6. And the h6 pawn basically means black's king is mated for the rest of the game. Okay, there was only, I think, bishop d4, there was only one important line if he took on e5 after e5. Because I have to take on f7. And okay, I spent some time on this because of this line. Queen f7, rook f8. And I think I have to play knight e6, otherwise it's probably mate. And he takes, I take on d8, like rook f2, knight e6. Okay, it's not too difficult, but it's at least important that my king escapes, there's no threats in the endgame, and my d-pawn will run. So...
Important point. Let's just go back a couple of moves in this line where you played rook f8. You made the point knight e6 is forced, so it actually, like queen e6, for example, we should point out why you ducked this line because of...
I don't know, maybe bishop f2, king h1 is good, but I just didn't consider this.
Because you was concerned about a rook h4 kind of, but,
yeah, but
it looks
cover
like
h3.
you're defending h3. So.
But I don't know, bishop g, like it's... You don't
Messy.
want to do this, right? Because I don't have any threats against his king for the moment.
Right.
So, yeah, I'd rather avoid this. It looks very dangerous.
Absolutely. So then you managed to finish off the game with some style, sacrificing the exchange and also then getting a chance to sacrifice on f5. Beautiful finish. Great game. It still only puts you at +1, but you're only half a point behind the leaders, as nobody was able to land a blow despite having some great chances. There are 2 rounds to go. Are you looking at the comebacks being on?
Well, it's probably the first moment in the tournament when it feels like I have some sort of shot. I mean, besides very early on. Yeah, I thought that Wesley, I wasn't sure what was going on, but he was up a piece. I didn't think Danya had enough compensation. But I don't know. It was a very complicated game. So it was kind of fortunate, I guess, that that nobody else pulled ahead even more.
Will you be going for it tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I have to.
All right, those are the fighting words we want to hear. Don't forget, I picked you to win the tournament. So
No pressure.
it's all
No
about
pressure.
my pick
No pressure.
versus these guys. Congrats on a great win. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well done, Fabi, indeed.